I'm going to introduce you to Amduat. First period was Net Ra. Second period, Yearness or Earnest. Third is Net Nab At. The fourth is the Anket Keheparu, which I say is the international date line. You see the breaks in the lines right there? Like it's going into another kind of world. And then I look at the same thing, look at the international date line on the map, on the world map. You see those same kind of divisions in the lines break off, you know, between where it says Monday and Sunday in the North Pacific Ocean to the South Pacific is the international date line. This is where we find in Southeast Asia, Bora Badu and all of those mystical places where they have something that's linked with heaven and the star and the temples they build are similar, like sun temples, solar temples, where it's going to end up at Easter Island, right, where they have all of those colossal heads on that little small island, you know. This is Ecuador, Galapagos Island. International date line right here. Looking at the maps. All these little small island places all had little something like solar sun. This is Oceania, North and South, North Pacific Ocean and South Pacific Ocean. On the Amduat map, it says Anket Keheparu. What do you see right here? I see Osiris. I see Thoth, the Atlantean. I see the Heru figure. This is what they must have wrote the Bible from, and took the names of these deities. The Osiris is the pharaoh in the Bible. Thoth, right here, that's the biblical Enoch. That's the Enoch figure right there. That's the Helix Nebula right there. Because they say the eye of God is supposed to be over Aquarius. He's looking over Aquarius, or looking. Aquarius goes down North Pacific, South Pacific, right there, international date line. You see that? The Helix Nebula is right there, just like on the chart. Keheparu At. Or Anket Keheparu. The all-seeing eye is right there. You see? It's walking you into. This is a world map on the hieroglyphs in the 19th dynasty of Egypt. This is how Egyptians see it. AmenT. You see, he comes across the international date line on a boat. And now it's some type of hill or pyramid right here that takes them up. They found another land right here. When they cross the date line, you see that? This is a register. How it all began from the gods of Earnest. In the second period, this is the first period, Net Ra. Earnest is the second period. At the top is a register, and it's walking you into how they went all the way around the world, all the way down that register, and comes right back in 3 sets. Seems like it's 3 or 4 periods that it did this. That's the same thing I see. These seals right here. The 7 seals. The first seal Each seal was like 1,000 years when it was opened up. And there was an archangel. The Hebrews wrote the same thing. They seen it a little different. They tried to explain the same thing. Different periods with the 7 seals that were opened by the priest. This is really taught in Ethiopia by the AmenT priest. The Ammonians were a joint colony of Egyptians and Ethiopians called Ammonians. They believed in Amen-Ra, the god of Egypt, the god of the sun, who we invoke in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. You know, Egyptian myth, the primeval deity worshipped at the best, or at Thebes. The personification of air or breath, represented either as a ram or a goose, later identified with Amen-Ra. So his land was called AmenT. You see the top register? This is a period that preceded the first register. I mean the second register. You see that ram deity? There you go right there. The Amen-Ra right there. The head of a ram. Coming into AmenT. See that? That is, I believe, from this Egyptian world map on the hieroglyphs. He's showing you Teotihuacan. The plans of that city, it says in the Britannica, were begun about 400 BC. Let's read the rest of it. Teotihuacan. What does it say? Its formal planning as a metropolis was begun 400 BC. Around that time, its formal planning as a metropolis, however, dates to about the beginning of the Christian era. The origin and language of the Teotihuacanos is yet unknown. They don't know who it was. That's what the Britannica said in Great Britain. So, but I'm explaining it to you in the NegusPedia Negranica, the last kings of Egypt, Negranica and his people. Because the Persians had took over Egypt through marriage to one of the daughters, marrying to the kings of Persia. And then the Persians became masters over Ethiopia and India. So that's who built Teotihuacan. Because you see Persepolis, you see Susa Palace of Xerxes in the Bible, in the time of the book of Esther. The Hebrews were in Persepolis, in Susa. See, that's who it says. The Native American Indians are in the Book of Mormon. The Hebrews who come out of the land of Egypt. Persia is the way into India. Xerxes, the husband of Esther, who she ends up marrying in the end, he saves her whole Jewish colony from being exterminated by Haman. Haman was a Macedonian Greek who wanted to become king of Egypt. So, and Xerxes was the king. Artaxerxes or Ahasuerus became king over the 27th dynasty, right? Let me look and see. The Persian period. First Persian period, Xerxes, it was Cambyses the first, 525 through 522 BC. Darius the first, 522 to 486 BC. And Artaxerxes, who was Ahasuerus, 486 to 65 BC. They had the Greek and the Persian wars, the Battle of Marathon and Salamis, you know, where the Greeks claimed victory over the Persians and pushed them back east. The Greeks took the west and the north. Egypt in the West was taken by the Greeks. Egypt and India and Arabia was taken by the Persians. Because Persia is the way into India. So, and this is the historical battle, you know, unto this day. This is why the United States in talking about something against Iran, who is Persia. Iran east of Thebes or Egypt. Had to go east across the Sinai into Arabia, into the royal road is Persia. The way into India. So to get away from the Romans, to get away from the Greek, trying to Hellenize and colonialize. That's why they have a different belief system. Okay. The last kings of Egypt. Nectanambo, who I say is the biological father of Alexander the Great. So these people are the ones who built Teotihuacan. It's just called the city of the gods. I say it's an Amduat. It's called AmenT. And I tried to explain some things I was seeing. All right, what else does it say about Teotihuacan? Teotihuacan. The original language of the Teotihuacanos is yet unknown. Their culture and cultural influences spread throughout Mesoamerica. Whether or not they controlled a political and military empire on the order of that of the Aztecs remains a moot point. They don't know. About AD 650 or 900, Teotihuacan was sacked and burned by the invading Toltec, who eventually established their center at Tolan or Tula, about 50 miles north of the present-day Mexico City. The area of Teotihuacan, encompassing 8 square miles, 20.7 square kilometers, contained, in addition to dwelling places, great plazas, temples, and palaces of nobles and priests. The two main groups of buildings are connected by a road. The Avenue of the Dead is 130 feet, 40 meters wide, and 1.5 miles long. It was once erroneously thought to have been lined with tombs. But the low buildings that flank appear to be palace residences, places where people lived at around the great plaza and the pyramid of the sun. The sun god who? Amen. The great Amen, Amen-Ra. It was a sun temple, right? The last of the Egyptian peoples built them another place to live after the Persians took over their land through marriage. After uprising, who is the fight lasted before the Persian period? Uprised Amasis and Psamtik III. Okay, the last of the Sayyidi period. Uprised and Amasis had wars, and Cambyses came in and became a master over them and did evil to the Egyptians. But Xerxes was a righteous man. He came to save the Semitic, the righteous people, from being oppressed by the Canaanite wicked people who are always criminals and ain't gonna obey God. They were turned against God, and they were uncivilized and barbarians and ill-treated as oppressors. The cruel pharaoh of Canaan, compared to a Semitic pharaoh who was master over Ethiopia and India. So who tried to fight for the righteous, for the good of things, for the building of the temple in Jerusalem. So, all right. Teotihuacan, at the north end of the city is the Pyramid of the Moon, flanked by platforms and lesser pyramids. to the south of the temple of Quetzalcoatl,